Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. Just listened to an interesting story here. Britney Spears, The Woman in Me, Audible. This is getting some attention. Been out for maybe a month and a half or so. But yeah, I banged it out pretty quick. I listened to it basically yesterday, and today I finished it. About 5 hours and 14 minutes. Brittany kind of, I always like audiobooks where the actual writer, the author, if you would, reads their own audiobook. Sometimes with celebrities, it's a mixed bag. Molly Shannon, I just listened to her audiobook earlier this year. She read her own book. I would have liked to have heard Brittany read her own book, but she does introduce in her voice the kind of prologue or the opening, and she basically says it's too hard for her to deal with this stuff. And once you get into the book, you kind of find out why. And look, I was a bit skeptical going in. I mean, first of all, I'm skeptical. Did Brittany actually sit down and write this book? I don't recall if she's listed a co-author or a friend to help her write this thing. Sometimes they do that. But whether she actually sat there and wrote it or dictated the book to someone else, I don't know. But the story, I think she shares so much that's pretty intensely personal. I can't really see a motivation for her to make up some of this stuff. It doesn't always make her look perfect. Not that she's claiming to be perfect. And I mean, I guess I'm more of a Britney Spears fan coming out of this book than I was going into it. Also, keeping in mind that every story's got three sides: your side, my side, and the truth. We don't have the luxury of listening to some of the other people's side. The Justin Timberlake's or her parents, especially her father. He does not have a chance to rebut in this thing, obviously. I recently watched Club Shay Shay. Shannon Sharp had Tommy Davidson, if you remember him, on as a guest. I guess Tommy had some issues with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith years ago. And I guess Tommy Davidson wrote his autobiography. And he told an incident of how he kind of had a falling out with the Smiths. And apparently, according to Tommy, whenever you publish a book and you tell stories about people, their real names, you have to get their permission to publish that. So the Smiths had to approve it. So if that's the case for Britney's book, I kind of wonder if the Justin Timberlakes and the Spears father and her mother and her sister, did they all approve of this storytelling? Because that would be interesting to me because they all look like scumbags. By the end of this book, you're kind of really angry with her father, her little sister, her mom. They all seem like people that are really horrible and exploited this phenomenon named Britney Spears. Now, for me, I honestly, and I'm not bragging or trying to be, distance myself from her, but I don't have any Britney Spears albums. Probably the closest I ever had was a Christina Aguilera Best of CD. I do appreciate Britney, her music, but it wasn't my thing to go out and buy it. But I've certainly no, general sense her career. Um, this conservative ship we heard about 3, 4, 5 years ago um, was really when it started to become a thing. There was one YouTube guy who did like a free Britney video, and then it kind of gained steam. And next thing you know, Britney Spears free Britney shirts are everywhere. And I did like that portion of the story where Britney basically thanks her fans for helping her get out of the conservatorship. Maybe some stuff I would have liked to have heard more about, like I guess the good years, for lack of a better term. It does seem to be like an overnight sensation, and maybe that's how she experienced it. The going from just a kid actor on the Disney Mickey Mouse Club, the reboot, to suddenly being world famous. I guess I would have liked a few more nuances in there, but I guess her life has just been surreal. Michelle Williams, the actress, I think it was Michelle Williams a couple of years ago, or was it? It was Kirsten Dunst. It wasn't. See, there's like three. There's three of these early 2000s actresses, maybe four. It's like Reese Witherspoon's like the queen of them, and then I would say probably Kirsten Dunst is number two, and then I'd say Michelle Williams is number three. And I'd say like Dominic Swan or Swain is number 4. That's how I kind of rank these early 2000s, mid 2000s blonde actresses. But Reese is the queen of that sect. Um, and like I said, Michelle's kind of like third on the list. Maybe she's above Kirsten Dunst. Also, it says at the end of the book that talk about someone we haven't talked about, kind of in that same cloth. Britney's audio recording of the intro was recorded apparently by as a Kate, not Kate Holmes, Goldie Hawn's daughter, Kate. What was Goldie Hawn's daughter's name? God, all these people. But anyway, it's an interesting story. It does get you kind of mad. I do think that there's some nice receipts. If I go back later, if I have the energy to make a nice thumbnail for this fucking video, like there would be some receipts. She's handing out receipts, as the kids say. And Timberlake obviously gets some receipts. Federline, the father of 2 of her children, gets some receipts. And some other people you wouldn't expect, but she names out Meredith Vieira, who's a Rhode Islander. She gets a little shout out, and not in a good way. Meredith Vieira, interviewing, or Meredith fucking Vieira, as Britney says, gets called out for interviewing Britney's mom. I guess Britney's mom and Britney's sister published tell-all books, kind of capitalizing or profiting from Britney's struggles. And Meredith fucking Vieira gets a shout out. Sarah Silverman, who I like Sarah Silverman as a comedian, but, she gets a little shout out here, a little receipt from Britney. And, you kind of see this cruelty. And, that's an interesting thing. I mean, was this people rant and rave about this movie, Love Actually. A friend of mine a couple of years ago was telling me I had to go see Love Actually because I'd never seen it. Well, I saw the trailer, the preview for Love Actually, this 20-year-old movie, and there's like a Britney Spears basically being a slut joke. There's like a slut shaming Britney Spears joke in the middle of this trailer, and I say, well, maybe I won't go see it. Like if that's the type of humor that's exploitive to good old Britney, but it's true. At the time, the talk show circuit, whoever the fucks, all these talk show guys, if Britney wasn't on the show and they were gawking at her body, her young body, when she was having trouble, they were talking about her behind her back, and people just, it was like a national pastime to bash this woman who's going through some troubles, and some pretty serious troubles too, that we knew some of but didn't know some of. Child custody battles. I mean, she tells a story about when she shaved her head and she was not able to see her children at that time from K-Fed. So, I mean, it's very interesting. Now, where the fuck is K-Fed now? Nowhere. And if you remember the WWE, if you subscribe to One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan, I'm pretty much a pro wrestling aficionado and expert. But K-Fed pinned John Cena on Monday Night Raw. So the WWE was bending the knee to K-Fed too. It's just interesting how this young woman was really bastardized or treated poorly, is what I'm saying, by society, by you. All the people in power, the Meredith Vieras, the Sarah Silvermans, they all betrayed her. And, I think a funny line that Britney has in this is when she says, they were always giving me hard times about my music. Saying it was just a pop artist. She's like, I'm a Southern girl from the South who signs my name with hearts. Do you want me to be a Bob Dylan impersonator? I mean, that's a good line. So, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting because she basically defends herself for being herself. She was into pop music. She was into Mariah Carey. She shouldn't be expected to be a Bob Dylan impersonator. So, I really enjoyed this book. I mean, I think the book was a giant FU to dad, FU to mom, FU to sis, FU to the system, the court system, the legal system, FU to the media. I think Britney put all these assholes in check. So like I said, I've never owned a Britney Spears album before. I'm kind of curious now. The one, I think it was called Blackout, that had Toxic. She says that's like her masterwork. So I might have to listen to that now through the YouTube Music. But But it's interesting. Like I was not a Britney Spears fan, but something compelled me to listen to this audiobook. Um, I do feel Michelle Williams, to give her credit, she did a nice job. She did not try to impersonate Britney or do a Southern Belle voice, not that I could tell. But after a while, you kind of like just feel you're listening to Britney. Um, and a special shout out for wherever the fuck it's worth to all the Free Britney people who, people made fun of them too. And I think the fun of that was just, why would people make fun? It's like, well, why do you care about this Britney Spears? Well, they were fans. They saw human beings struggling. And Britney herself in this book makes a great point. I'm making millions of fucking dollars. I'm doing cameos on sitcoms. I'm playing Las Vegas 7 nights a week. Yet I can't balance my own books. Yet I'm not in control of my own life. Like I said, there's also a thing where I'd like to kind of hear the flip side of this, because Britney does admit that she almost basically killed herself and her boyfriend driving off a cliff, I think the day before the conservatorship began. So she does admit that like there was a catalyst for her being put under the conservatorship. What a weird word, conservatorship. However, as she says, why did it have to be her father? Her father, who was a struggling alcoholic when she was a kid. Why was he the one? I guess he's the one that wanted to be. So it does make you challenge this court system a little bit. Very tough stuff here, folks, because different states have different laws. People with mental illness or mental struggles or danger to their own health, you can make a case, that there should be these conservatorships, but at the same time, at what point is it too much? So I can totally see that debate. That's why I said, although I really get Britney's point of view on this, I would still, if the father has any defense for himself, now's the time, bucko. In the fucking courtroom of Mike Messier, you have your fucking 24-hour window, asshole, to defend yourself, and then I will judgment on you. I will serve judgment, okay? But look, Team Britney, whatever the fuck, I enjoyed the book. I have more respect for her coming out. Now, look, she does have some things where, sometimes these people, just to me, I mean, one thing that she keeps doing that I guess I do have to question a bit, and it's not my place to question, but I'm just thinking out loud for you. Several times she's like, we were going to start our own little family. Like, she kind of does this gimmick where first she's a stepmother to K-Fed's kids, then she's a mother to two of K-Fed's kids, then they get broken up, and maybe 10 or 12 years later she's marrying this other guy and they're trying to have a baby. And every single time it's like, oh, we wanted to start a family, we wanted to start a new family. It's like, how many goddamn families do you have to have? You know what I mean? Like, that's one of these gimmicks where people who feel the need to have children, it's not good enough to have children with this other asshole that you're divorced from. You have to have children with a new asshole or this other fuck or whatever. It's like everyone feels they're so goddamn important that they need to have all these children and stepchildren and start all these fucking families. I don't agree with that. I mean, it's like, why don't you just concentrate on the family you have? You know what I mean? The kids you have, the stepkids you have, try to work with that palette before you go cross-pollinate with other people again. Just my 2 cents, Brit. Beyond that, like I said, I like the audiobook. I'm interested in hearing what other assholes have to say about it. If you read it, if you listen, that's a cool thing with audio, is like you don't actually have to sit there and read with paper. And like I said, when you have a nice voice, like Michelle Williams, it makes it all easier. So I say, I'm glad Britney is free. Would I go see her in a concert? If the ticket was free or close to it, I would. I'm sure there are thousands of dollars to go see her now. I can't really justify that. But I do think, I have newfound respect. Really never didn't respect her. I never picked on her. I never put her down. I'm not guilty, Britney. I'm innocent of your thing. But I do feel like society is very odd. We love to build up these people, whether it's Kim Kardashian or Pete Davidson, and then we love to tear them down. Whether it's, I guess you could say Kanye has torn his own ass down. But I mean, these other people, we love to ride them up, and then we love to ride them down. So anyway, good job, Brittany. Dirty Laundry, Mike Messier.